As the celebrations honoring our veterans continue across the Ozarks, many of those who served our country are struggling in silence.
According to Veterans Affairs, 1 in 3 veterans experience symptoms of depression, and 1 in 5 veterans have been diagnosed with major depressive disorder.
Chris Bryant reports on the mental health concerns across all generations of veterans.
Numbers are universal. And they tell a story. If it's hundreds who have gathered to watch a parade in Springfield, or the silence of hundreds. Veterans Day is about honoring those who gave and still fight.
I think it's very important to acknowledge that our veterans these days definitely still struggle with post-traumatic stress disorder or traumatic brain injuries or moral injuries.
Those numbers tell a story all on their own. 12% of veterans have PTSD. The rate is higher among female veterans at 13% than male veterans at 6%.
Just as much as our Vietnam veterans still face the same struggles.
Between 1979 and 2019, 94,497 suicides happened among Vietnam War-era veterans from theater operations and non-theater operations.
PTSD was not fully recognized until 1980. So many of our Vietnam veterans went decades without a proper diagnosis.
Now, the understanding of mental health and veterans means more access to services in addition to better trained therapists.
We also have advancement in medication and accessibility to mental health services, such as with telehealth, which our Vietnam veterans did not have back in those days.
Even with advancements, the stats are still alarming. Veteran suicide rates are 1.5 times higher than the general population. In 2020, there were 6,139 veteran suicides. But new treatment methods are showing promise.
A trauma-focused therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy is available. EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing, is one of the most successful in treating post-traumatic stress disorder.
And those who work with veterans say it's important to meet them where they are when going through trauma.
And I have always been of the school of thought that I just let them lead me to where they are comfortable going. I do not open any doors with someone that has got trauma until they are ready to open those doors.
And an important number, if you or someone you know is having a mental health emergency, 988. You can call and speak to someone trained to help. Chris Bryant, KY3 News.